UserZoom is an experience insights management platform used by enterprise businesses to conduct remote user research. In its early years, UserZoom saw exactly the kind of organic, natural growth that SaaS companies aim for. But as the customer base expanded, a scaling problem emerged. Customers needed help using the platform, so UserZoom relied on human research partners to provide high-touch, white-glove support. Hand-holding thousands of enterprise users requires a massive human workforce, which limits how fast a software company can grow. This reliance on human intervention drove up support costs. If a user cannot operate the software without a guide, they often abandon the platform entirely, leading to customer churn. To solve this, the standard industry playbook is to build a customer education academy. The goal is to train users to be self-reliant, reducing their lean on human support and increasing long-term loyalty. UserZoom built an academy, and the initial signals were positive. Engagement numbers looked healthy, and the growth was natural. Yet the underlying reliance on human research partners remained high. Positive engagement metrics in a learning academy are essentially meaningless if they do not physically reduce the company's reliance on human intervention. When users struggle with adoption, tech companies often assume they simply need to update their feature certifications. A closer audit of UserZoom's curriculum revealed a different issue. The existing curriculum was overwhelmingly focused on the product platform itself, rather than the underlying professional UX research skills. This is the product training fallacy. Teaching a user where a specific button is located does not teach them the methodology of why or how to conduct a research study. Platform support often swallows up actual skill education. Conflating support with education creates a dependency loop. Users learn to click through a menu, but they still lack a strategic knowledge to design a study, forcing them to return to human research partners for guidance. Achieving true SaaS adoption requires treating feature tutorials and professional skill building as two distinct educational architectures. Before redesigning the academy, the team audited how current users actually interacted with the platform. They surveyed 100 UserZoom users. These were active practitioners who had engaged with course content within the last 3 months. This sample size was chosen for directional insight to surface behavioral trends. It was not intended to establish definitive statistical significance. The research evaluated the overall learner experience alongside the platform's specific structure. It asked if the training was relevant and how users searched for and navigated through the content. The data showed that users struggled to navigate the academy. The way educational categories were organized did not match how practitioners actually looked for information. The audit found that certifications were out of date, and it also surfaced a total absence of critical UX methodology content. Meanwhile, irrelevant platform tutorials cluttered the search results. Before rebuilding the site, the Learning Experience Design team needed a diagnostic framework to measure the distance between current user behavior and professional competence. To measure that gap, the team deployed a Training Needs Analysis, or TNA. A TNA is a systematic process used to identify the precise gap between a user's current behavior and the required performance standard. The process begins by defining what good looks like. This maps the desired performance standard on the right side of the gap. Next, it assesses what's actually happening, mapping the current user capability on the left. The third question asks what is causing the gap, determining if training is the correct solution to bridge the chasm. The TNA identifies the specific knowledge, skills, and abilities, or KSAs, needed to construct the bridge across the gap. For UserZoom, knowledge was defined as platform usage mechanics, and skills as the underlying UX research methodology. This framework targeted lagging business metrics by aligning the KSA building blocks with the roles of increasing adoption and reducing human support reliance. A TNA transforms vague business anxieties, like high churn, into a precise blueprint for instructional architecture. The team transitioned from the TNA blueprint to the physical execution phase, the site, content, and feedback audit. The highest priority intervention was a new information architecture that enforced a strict separation between support content and education content. This applied a rigid instructional rule. A single course must focus entirely on either platform mechanics or UX methodology, but never both. The team implemented UI changes to support this architecture. exposing course catalogs and clarifying the presence of live courses to improve navigation visibility. Making learning objectives clickable gave users immediate agency over their progress and pathing. The cleanup phase included updating course naming conventions and establishing consistent UI elements across the entire Academy ecosystem. The team rebuilt the feedback forms to ensure the new information architecture drove the intended behaviors. Restructuring information architecture acts as a structural mechanism, forcing users into the correct cognitive pathways for learning. Launching a new architecture requires a measurement framework to evaluate its impact on user capability over time. The team implemented academic research-based questions into the overhauled feedback forms. The initial scope was limited to Level 1 and Level 2 evaluations, reaction and learning, utilizing delayed follow-ups to measure actual knowledge retention. Continuous, rigorous evaluation is the safeguard that prevents an education platform from slipping back into product-centric habits. The ultimate objective of the revamp was to engineer a customer base capable of performing on its own. Targeted UX skill building creates genuine user confidence, which drives deeper platform adoption and renewals. When users rely on their own skills, the company's reliance on unscalable research partners naturally shrinks. Customer enablement depends on building a structured environment where users acquire the professional methodologies the software was built to augment, rather than just learning its features. Enterprise SaaS platforms achieve profitable scale when they stop training users to click buttons and start educating them to be independent practitioners.